I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold5eva here with Girls5eva creator and showrunner Meredith Scardino. Meredith,
Hello.
Girls5eva premiered in the wake of the pandemic. And I remember when it first came out, it really resonated with me and audiences looking for a good time, looking for a laugh. It's something happy and fun to watch, right?
Mhm.
It's fun, it's irreverent, it's charming, it's witty. Fast forward now, a few years later, is feel-good TV still the central, I guess, premise for this show?
Feel Good TV was never the central premise for the
I think it
show.
was.
I think that the show has a lot of joy. I think it's really impossible to watch this amazing cast of Sara Bareilles, Renee Elise Goldsberry, Busy Phillips, Paula Pell, and not smile and root for them. Um, I I but I didn't set out to like make a feel good show.
Yeah.
I set out to kind of make a funny, like a full full
Full
footed
throated, full
comedy,
throttle,
full
laugh out
throttle
loud.
comedy,
Yeah.
and I think that seeing their comeback story, seeing them kind of take being spit out by the kind of toxic pop business of the Y2K era and try to do it again now on their own terms is life affirming. It's cool to see. I think people take up space at a time when you kind of like get more comfortable and you just like get into your routine, you get your coffee, you go to your job, you have your kids, you're worrying about that. And I think it's kind of bold and a cool reminder to be like, yeah, do what you want, do what you think you deserve, find your voice and your agency, and it's kind of a reminder to myself to live that way too. So uh but yeah, but I do think there's always room for uplifting stories in the world. The world has not gotten less complicated
No,
since
it,
the pandemic. I
it's
wouldn't
probably
say.
worse.
So
Yeah.
I think there's always room for for a show that makes you laugh.
Yeah. It makes you laugh. And I am going to always maintain that Girls5eva makes me feel good. I like watching it. When I finish an episode, I'm like, that feels good. That
That's
feels really
great.
good. And you know, it's a comeback story. And then of course the show also mounted its own comeback on Netflix.
Yes.
Such great news when I found that out a while ago. Obviously, it was
Yeah.
quite some time ago when Netflix picked it up. I thought, fantastic. Talk me through the intricacies of finding a new home for this show.
It was a pretty quick rehome. It was really exciting when the show sort of became available. Our friends over at Netflix, who, some of the people over there we had worked with from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because I produced the show
Yeah.
with Robert Carlock and Tina Fey, who created Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and I was a writer on that show for the whole
Mhm.
run and the interactive special. So it was really cool to have supporters over there from the beginning. They even when the show came out on a different when the show came out on Peacock, I had executives over there emailing me and saying they loved it so much and everything. So when it kind of there was that like little window, hey, this could potentially be rehomed, they snatched it right up, and it was really exciting. We're so happy to be
Yeah.
at Netflix.
It's great. And there's been quite a few shows over the years that have transitioned over to Netflix and then become huge, massive successes. So,
Yeah.
you've got that to look forward to for Girls5eva. And by the way, I love it how it's Girls5eva because with my accent, if it was ever, it just would still say ever. So it's perfect. Just thank you for
Oh,
doing that
good.
just
Oh,
for
good.
me.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad that works
yeah, yeah.
out.
So there you go.
Great.
So I remember, do you remember a few months ago, actually, it was probably sometime last year, there was this discourse in the media about women of a certain age being past their prime.
Oh, you mean
Does
the Don Lemon quote?
but yeah, poor
Are you
Don
talking about
Lemon. I
that?
don't want to dump on him, but seriously, like That was not a good thing to say. Um, does it give you hope that an audiences love a show like this about women endeavoring to reclaim the success of their younger years and succeeding, but just doing it with comfier shoes and a more sensible bedtime?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think funny is funny, and like this cast is undeniably funny, and so it's like it doesn't. I don't know. I think anyone can root for this story. I do believe it's an underdog story. I'm from Philly. We love Rocky. Like we love an underdog story, and I think it's so fun to kind of being a woman in my 40s in New York, being able to write women in their 40s in New York is very freeing. It's very fun to kind of put a funhouse mirror up to your own life, and then also add in pop culture and and all the references to taking in satirizing the music business and all that. It's kind of like a dream show to work on, and it's delightful. I mean, and it's also I kind of set out wanting to write this show thinking like I wanted to write a show with all female main characters that were representative of like my age group, and
Yeah.
and just let them all be funny and grounded in their own way, but all in different ways, and not have to kind of be the backup characters to someone else's story. They each have their own arcs. They each really, they're all flawed. Every great character is flawed. I mean, every human is flawed. And it's yeah. So it's really so fun to work on this show. And I do think that underneath kind of like the zippy, fun, candy coated look of it all, and the music and the jokes, but there is a true kernel of grounded truth about what it feels like to be a person, and we don't shy away from making jokes about things that are a little bit that were a little bit rougher back in the day or whatever. It's not all just like Happy Town, but
No.
that's the language, that's the language I use to sort of, and the writers and I use to kind of reflect the world back.
Yeah, you're threading that very careful needle, because my wife and I watched this show together, and it really resonates with her. We're both in our 40s,
Yeah.
and we have different perspectives. I love the show because it's so funny. I just love having a good laugh out loud. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen that often these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
loves it for the women that she can really relate to, and that universality is why the show is successful. So that brings me to this question. A lot of this has to do with, of course, the writing, the music, the costumes, everything. But these four actors are so good.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I wonder, do they, what's it like on set? I mean, it sounds like an
Oh,
obvious question, but do they break character a lot? And is there a lot of laughter on set, or are they really, really disciplined these days?
they're all professionals in that they know their lines. They come to set. They are professionals, but they are also total set hams. They are doing side bits. They are singing made up songs all the time. They are constant. They are very close friends. It's when the show started at the height of the pandemic, before there was a vaccine. We were all behind. I met them behind a mask and a shield. I felt like a stormtrooper, being like, "Man, I'm Meredith. Hi, I have ideas."
What?
And
Yeah.
and they were, and so there was like a bit of a distance from, but also just being like in a feeling like you're in a little bit of a bubble while you're shooting the show. And they really bonded. I mean, they truly bonded, and they are hugely supportive of each other and all very different. And I pinch myself to work with them all. Truly, they're wonderful.
I can imagine. Meredith, congrats on some really beautiful work
Oh,
on
thank you.
Girls5eva. I'm so happy it's back, and thank you for your insight today.
And I love the way you say the show. I really
Girls
do.
Fight. Yeah, you did it just for
it
me.
sounds best coming out of, I think, in Australia, your mouth.
I agree. Thank you for that. I
All
appreciate it.
right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for talking to me.
Thanks.
Bye.